Welcome back to Crypto Meets AI. Jerry here with an update for you. Do me a favor, friends. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and comment down below. Now let's get into this. We have the Ripple National Trust Bank, Fed Master Account, and XRP, the global reserve currency. We have our daily well alert here. 96 million XRP worth over 222 million just moved off of Coinbase and into an unknown wallet. Whales are scooping XRP off of exchanges. You already know what that means, my friends. And another one, massive XRP transaction alert. A jaw-dropping 78,290,000 XRP just moved off of the XRPL. Network fee just 0.00045 XRP. Whales are definitely alive and kicking right here.
Paul, we got to get your take on SEC Chair Paul Atkins' speech this week, because I know you guys were both there. I know you chatted at the event. I wish I had gone down to Philly for it. I didn't realize it would be such a crypto heavy event that it was. But I mean, let's talk about the contrast, right, between what this SEC chairman spoke about and what the prior SEC chair spoke about in his few crypto speeches that he gave, but just sort of the indications that he gave about how all digital assets were securities, right? And the way that Atkins is treating the Howey test as, sort of this like flexible, like we can use the Howey test, of course we'll use it, but we're going to kind of we're going to cater it to this evolving world of crypto and blockchain. I loved your tweet, Paul. Promises may not remain forever, and neither should status as an investment contract when that happens. Can you just talk about the change? It's been 9 months since Atkins has been in office. It's just wild, isn't it?
It's been 9 months, but in a lot of ways it feels like 9 centuries. The contrast between the prior regime and the current leadership could not be more stark. Look, I think what we heard from Chairman Atkins in Philadelphia was a confirmation that the SEC is returning to its original place and assuming its original responsibility for bringing certainty to the federal securities laws as opposed to creating chaos. I think what I heard in Chairman Atkins' speech that was most striking was that he was not simply throwing out decades of precedent and decades of history in announcing a new framework or a new standard, but rather grounding what I think is a sensible way to think about how investment contract law applies to digital assets in that same precedent, in that same history. So whether it's in confirming that investment contracts may start out as federal securities, but could and often do transform over time, or whether it's in confirming that the subject of an investment contract is not in and of itself an investment contract. This is just, I think, good old-fashioned federal securities law 101, and coming, from the chairman of the SEC himself. It's just, it's reassuring to many of us in the industry that we have someone in leadership at the commission who really appreciates history, but understands the need to evolve that as new markets and new technologies emerge.
I don't see how you can have an ancient Howey test being used for current digital technologies in the first place. And what we heard from Chairman Atkins in Philadelphia was a confirmation that the SEC is returning to its original place and assuming its original responsibility for bringing certainty to federal securities laws and opposed to creating chaos. Now let's talk about the quantum threat. XRP faces no quantum threat for the next 40 years. XRP faces no meaningful quantum threat for the next 20 to 40 years based on everything we know from quantum hardware, roadmaps, cryptographic thresholds, and XRPL's upgrade path. Here is the reality. Quantum attacks on blockchain rely on large-scale, fault-tolerant quantum computers capable of running Shor's algorithm on elliptic curve signatures to break the SEC P251K1 level cryptography. An attacker would require millions of stable, error-corrected qubits operating through tens of billions of coherent gate operations without decoherence. The most advanced machines today operate in hundreds of noisy physical qubits, and even optimistic projections place practical cryptoanalytic quantum computers multiple decades away. IBM's roadmap, Google's roadmap, and academics' estimate from NIST and ETH Zurich all converge on the same conclusion. Quantum hardware will not reach the required threshold for 20 to 40 years under realistic engineering constraints. And those are key words right there, under realistic engineering constraints. XRP is additionally safe because XRP's private keys are generated with high entropy and avoid known weak key patterns. Quantum-resistant signature schemes can be implemented at the protocol layer once standards mature. Ripple engineers are already evaluating lattice-based and zero-knowledge signature primitives as future replacements. Migration can occur seamlessly through XRPL's key rotation architecture without disrupting balances or ledger continuity. In cryptographic terms, this gives XRP posture and upgrade capability, which is more important than current algorithms. Nobody is locked into a vulnerable design. The XRPL can transition to post-quantum primitives long before quantum machines reach attack capability. The conclusion is straightforward. XRP is not exposed in any realistic quantum time horizon. The hardware does not exist yet, cannot exist in the next few decades, and XRPL has a defined path to adopt quantum-safe cryptography well before it becomes necessary. And if you're finding this information valuable, please like, share, subscribe, and comment down below. Oh boy, looky there. The first XRP ETF is officially launched, and Brad was right the whole time. This is the moment the critics said would never come. Liquidity is coming home, and the new financial era just got real, and XRP leads the race.
Why do you think XRP wasn't specifically named in the executive order for the digital asset stockpile?
Well, so XRP was named by the president on Truth Social. He posted something saying that there should be other tokens, that there's going to be a Bitcoin strategic reserve and then a crypto stockpile that would include things like XRP.
But days later, the executive order didn't include it. Why was that?
I don't know what specifically was in the executive order. My understanding is there's going to be a Bitcoin strategic reserve. There'll be a crypto stockpile representing other cryptos. And I would expect that will include XRP. Look, at the end of the day, I think the stark contrast is in the Biden administration, we couldn't get a meeting with people at the White House. Now we're welcomed into the White House, and that's just a massive change. I think we want this industry to thrive in the United States. We don't want to push it offshore where you have fewer regulations.
I think the reason I keep pushing you, too, is because I think now it's widely accepted that this is a pro-crypto administration. But the details, that is what's causing an overhang, the uncertainty of the details. So to the extent you have confidence, right, about XRP being in that stockpile or otherwise getting more support for an ETF, for example, where does that confidence come from, and what kind of timeline do you see it happening on?
So I have immense confidence on the ETF. I think there's 11 different filings pending with the SEC to launch ETFs, from everybody from Bitwise to Franklin Templeton and a whole bunch of people in between. I think those will be live in the second half of this year. We have seen, even outside the United States, you have live ETPs. And at a time when a lot of outflows are exiting some of the crypto ETFs, you're seeing inflows into XRP. And I think that's because you had this false negative pressure from the SEC, this kind of, an exogenous hand holding things down that's now being released. And that's great for the market. That's great for builders within the XRP ecosystem globally.
One more on the stockpile.
Yeah.
How much XRP would be in it? Where does it come from?
Well, my understanding of what I read about I think there are some questions, and that the devil may be in the details as Treasury implements some of this.
Absolutely in the details.
But my understanding is that the stockpile will be represented by seized other cryptos other than Bitcoin that then will be in that stockpile. So to the extent that various law enforcement agencies have seized cryptos, which would include XRP, that those would go into the stockpile in addition to the Bitcoin strategic reserve.
Do you guys remember when Trump posted that Truth Social post where he said a crypto strategic reserve would be XRP, Solana, and ADA? He left off Bitcoin and Ethereum, and the Bitcoin maxis freaked out, and the Ethereum crazies cried like little babies. And what did Trump do? He had to correct his post and put Bitcoin and Ethereum on the list with it. Pretty wild how childish and petty some people are. And last but not least, this is exactly why HBAR is built different. While everyone's chasing meme coins, HBAR is solving real-world problems in identity, supply chains, and verifiable data at enterprise scale. Web3 utility is just getting started. Most won't see it until it's too late. Are you holding HBAR? If blockchains were only about finance, they would have peaked already. But identity, supply chains, and verification are just getting started, and they solve problems TradFi can't even model. This is the part of the curve most people sleep through. Wake up before the world upgrades without you and goes digital. Well, that's what I have for you guys. Until next time, stay savvy, stay stacking, and I'll catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and comment down below. And if you want more crypto deep dives, check out our videos right here on Crypto Meets AI. Thank you for watching. Remember to always do your own research. This is not financial advice.